as I move into the AFC South, here's a division that it's kind of been in flux. We've always had the Houston Texans kind of be towards the top. We had Indianapolis a few years ago, came out and won this division. Last year, it was the Tennessee Titans. A few years ago, it was the Jacksonville Jaguars. So there's always a lot in flux with this division. But I think this year, it kind of remains the same. I see the Tennessee Titans once again winning the AFC South. They just, from their run that they had last year, I think they keep all their key people intact. Ryan Tannehill's going to have a full year with the Titans. Derrick Henry's back on a deal, so he's got to be happy. A.J. Brown, their rookie receiver last year out of Ole Miss, really kind of came into his own. Now he's going to have yet another year. And so then the defense continues to play strong. So I just think that the Tennessee Titans are in a prime spot. As long as Ryan Tannehill stays healthy, I think they're the top team in this division. There's just too much going for them. They had a solid draft. They got key players into key positions. Who knows? They could potentially still go out and get Jadeveon Clowney with that. And it just makes them stronger. So yeah, they lost Jarrell Casey. They don't have Marcus Mariota there as their backup in case Tannehill gets hurt. But like I said, they've got enough key people in returning that I think that keeps them atop the AFC South. I think the team that's going to contend the most with the Titans is the Houston Texans. For as much as we want to criticize Bill O'Brien, the guy can, for as bad as he potentially is as a general manager, he is a good head coach. And say what you will about him, he's always had this team contending. There have been a consistent playoff contender under Bill O'Brien. He's done it with the likes of Brian Hoyer as his quarterback. Now he's had Deshaun Watson the last several years. So as long as Watson's there and healthy, as long as Bill O'Brien's there, the Texans are going to compete. Yeah, they lost DeAndre Hopkins and they traded him for David Johnson and a few picks, and I know they went out and got Brandon Cooks. So you basically swap Brandon Cooks with DeAndre Hopkins. And I think that's why I kind of have them a little bit further than the Titans. I think they're comparable talent-wise, but I think the Texans kind of, they got Brandon Cooks is a drop-off from DeAndre Hopkins. And, who knows? Maybe they get David Johnson back. He's healthier, and they want to run the ball better. And maybe he has a big year. And that running the ball keeps hits off of Deshaun Watson, and he's able to take shots if Will Fuller stays healthy. Defensively, they've still got J.J. Watt. He's got to stay healthy. But even with him being hurt in the past, they've still been able to play at high levels. So I think just some of the uncertainties with the Texans and replacing Hopkins and that has me taking them a little bit lower than the Titans. I think the Colts are a team that's a true potential wild card here, just because a couple years ago, the Colts seemed to be one of the up-and-coming teams. They had Andrew Luck back. The offensive line was stout. They got their young defense, and so under Frank Wright, they looked like a team that was going to be on the rise. And then Luck retired, and they had a down year last year and ended up picking around 13. But they got DeForest Buckner in a trade. They went out and signed Phillip Rivers. They get Paris Campbell back. They drafted Michael Pittman. And then I think the biggest addition is they went out and got Jonathan Taylor. And here's a team that doesn't have an Andrew Luck as their quarterback. They're hoping that Phillip Rivers can be an improvement over Jacoby Brissett, although Phillip Rivers had a terrible 2019. So they're hoping that Rivers bounces back, gives them improvement over Brissett. They've added the talent with Pittman to go along with T.Y. Hilton. And then they've got Jonathan Taylor, a true feature running back. And they're hoping that maybe that can have their Ezekiel Elliott type performance. If you look at the Cowboys, when they really took off, it was when they built up that offensive line and they drafted Ezekiel Elliott and kind of controlled the ball. And so I think the Cowboys, or the Colts here, have something very similar. They've been building up this offensive line. Costanzo at left tackle. Nelson at guard, and then Braden Smith played good at right tackle last year. Jake Kelly inside at guard. They've got this good offensive line, and guys like Marlon Mack and them, they've been solid, but Taylor's got a chance to have a huge year. And running behind this offensive line, taking the pressure off of Phillip Rivers, does he doesn't have to carry the team on his back. Now you got speed with T.Y. Hilton. You got a guy like Michael Pittman that can go up and get contested catches. You got Paris Campbell, who's another athletic, speed and explosive weapon for him. And this team potentially, with that defense, a defense that's got guys like Darius Leonard, now DeForest Buckner, Malik Hooker, and can he get healthy and bounce back to the guy that he was? I think this team has a lot of potential. I think it's going to be those three teams, the Titans, Houston, and the Colts, are three teams that I think are going to battle it out for this division. And I wouldn't be shocked. Like I said, I think the Titans are a team that has the best shot to win it. But I wouldn't be shocked if any of these three teams ended up doing so. But now let's get to the Jaguars. And as I talk about the Jaguars, we've had a trade. Yannick Ngakoue, their young, athletic, talented, productive pass rusher, has wanted out of Jacksonville, and he's made it very publicly known that he wanted out. And he hasn't been reporting, and there's been rumors that a trade was coming. Well, the trade has come, and the Jacksonville Jaguars had traded Yannick Ngakoue to the Minnesota Vikings for a second-round pick and a conditional fifth-round pick. And that conditional fifth-round pick, depending on certain things in it, could end up becoming a third. So if Yannick Ngakoue ends up being, an all stud like he has been, the Jaguars could be getting a second and a third-round pick for it. Now, second and third round pick, that's quality. I mean, you look at DeForest Buckner, he got the 13th over the 49ers got the 13th overall pick for him. Stephon Diggs was traded recently. They got the Vikings got a second round or the 24th overall pick for him. And then even the Jaguars, they traded Jalen Ramsey and got 2 first-round picks from the St. Louis Rams. And while they had to trade him, it was clear that Yannick Ngakoue didn't want to play. They knew he was going to be gone. They drafted Caleb Von Chason with the 20th overall pick. So they've got Josh Allen and Caleb Von Chason. So they've got guys that they hoping could step into that role. But the fact that you have to trade a young, athletic, productive pass rusher in this, teams crave guys like Yannick Ngakoue, and the fact that you were able to take him in the third round, and he, from the minute you had him, he's produced, and the fact that he's now out before his contract is up, it just shows you what an utter mess the Jacksonville Jaguars are. You should be rewarded with drafting Yannick Ngakoue in the third round. You should be like, hey, this is one of our steals, a cornerstone player, a guy that's hasn't been getting in trouble outside. It's not like he's going out there and getting arrested or anything. You can't keep him happy. You can't extend him, and he wants out. So to me, it just shows that the Jaguars, their front office, their ownership, whatever it may be, two of your best young players couldn't wait to get out of there. So whatever's going on is just an utter mess. Here's a team that a few years ago was in the AFC Championship game. They were 1 game away from the Super Bowl, led by a dominant defense, and now the players that are still left over from that defense, you have Myles Jack and maybe a defensive tackle. And it's just complete mismanagement. This team has not been good other than that 1 year, but yet David Caldwell still is their general manager. Doug Marrone is still their head coach. It's clear Jacksonville wants to tank. I don't know if that, like I said, they traded away Jalen Ramsey. They traded away Calais Campbell's gone. They let all these people go. They're trying to go young, and, Gardner Minshew's their quarterback, and, who knows, he's shown flashes. But this team doesn't look like a team that's ready to compete for a playoff spot. And instead, I think they are the prime candidate to get the number 1 overall pick. And, maybe that's what they want. They want to get Trevor Lawrence, and they're hoping that, hey, if we were bad enough, we're rebuilding, might as well go a complete rebuild. They've been stockpiling draft picks. But do you have any faith in this organization to turn it around? Even if they get Trevor Lawrence, are they going to hire the right coach? Is the right coach going to want to go there? Are they going to want to work with ownership? Are they going to want to work? Are they going to keep David Caldwell around? At this point, what has David Caldwell done to really warrant keeping his job? So, yeah, they got a decent return, but if they would have traded him last year right before the draft, could they potentially got a first-round pick? At least a late first-round pick? I know getting a second and potentially a third is not bad, but still getting that first-round pick is better, and I'm not trying to disregard a second or third-round pick. Top 100 picks are premiums in the NFL draft, but I feel like they could have got a lot more, but because they mishandled this situation, that's what happens. And bad teams make trades right before the season. Bad teams trade off their good players right before the season. The 49ers traded DeForest Buckner before the draft, and they got good return for him. The Vikings traded Stephon Diggs right before the draft, and they got a good return on him. And you look at what the Jaguars did. Just like last year, they had to trade Jalen Ramsey during the season. So, I feel bad for Jaguars fans because it just, ownership, management doesn't seem to know what they're doing.